Hi, this is Zak Mir with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zak's Traders Cafe for Friday, the 2nd of June. And slight relief with the FTSE pushing back above the still rising 200-day moving average around 75.25. We want to see, obviously, a weekly close back above the 200-day line. The other point to note is that in the recent past, anytime we've hit RSI 30, as we did this week, that's been a buying opportunity. So we had that back in March, and we had that a couple of times in October and even September, so you can go back and see that. In terms of what happens next, above the 200-day line, 75.25, looking for the rising 50-day moving average around 7700 over the next week or two. Probably the best case scenario for the end of this month would be back at 78.50 and that main February resistance line. On the downside, below the recent lows of around 74.45, there is still the risk of a retest of March support towards 7,200. But with that RSI situation, we probably bounce first, even if we didn't, even if we then broke down later, if that makes any sense. Moving on to the DAX, and it's always been a better version of the FTSE, much better in this case, because we were well above the 50-day moving average. What we're looking at now is bounce off that rising trend channel from September, and the view is that the longer we stay above the floor of the channel and the 50-day moving average of 15,700, the greater the chance of a move towards the top of the channel as high as 17,000 by the end of next month, and obviously could even be by the end of this month. But RSI at 53 as well, so on the right side of neutral, and that does suggest that this market is preparing itself for a new leg to the upside. And you can see that line of resistance there I've drawn. We were sort of gapping through that today to end the week, which is also good, as is the way that we gapped down earlier in the week and we've gapped up today. So it's an island reversal, in fact, a bear trap island reversal, which is even more bullish and helpful to the cause. On to the Dow, which has been the less good of the three main indices that we look at here in terms of the price action. But at least you can say that it's been keen to bounce off the 200-day moving average area at 32,700. That was our worst case scenario if we failed at 34,000, which obviously we did. But above 32,700, looking for 34,000 hopefully later this month. And obviously depends on things like the non-farm payrolls and the US president not falling over too many times as well. Moving on to Bitcoin. And here you can see that having another go at breaking that line of resistance there from April, that's around 27,200. Probably more serious would be a break of the 50-day moving average at 28,000 now to give us a journey or a route up towards the 30,000 plus area. Best case scenario target here at the moment up to 34,000 by the end of next month, while we hold above the 25,000 area. That's probably the easiest way of looking at this market. On to the stocks, and it has to be said, probably the thinnest bullish situations have been on the ground for quite some time, so not a great backdrop, but at least with Edenville, we've had a change of name, but also the stock heading towards the 200-day moving average. Our initial target there are 10 pence above that, up to 16, and a July 2022 resistance line projection. Looking for further upside, at least while we're above around the 6.25 area, which was the initial May resistance, so quite a reasonable chart there. On to Fox Marble, where just to make things more complicated, we've got different numbers, but actually, in a way, the same, obviously the same chart. Broken that line of resistance there from earlier this month, and the 50-day moving average at 59 pence, call it 60 pence. Above that, the possibility of a move back to 90 pence, but obviously, with all the jiggery-pokery in terms of the share price and everything else, this is something to be taken with a pinch of salt. Moving on to Genedrive, which is more familiar territory. Here we're having another attempt at breaking the 50-day moving average and that line of resistance from April at 24 pence. Above that, looking for 40 pence, which was the last resistance on the way down. And we normally see that 10, 15, 25, 40 progression in charting situations. Upside valid at least while we're above the 200-day line around 18 pence. Pelatro is next, and here a stock which has been attempting to recover quite well over the recent past. If I can type out the right code, Pelatro gapping up today we were already expecting it to head up towards the 9 pence area, and that's should be in the can in terms of the gap that we've seen today. And at least while we're above 7 pence, which has been resistance on the way down, looking for 9 pence and then up to a line of resistance from December as high as 14 pence as soon as the end of this month. So Pelatro looking relatively well set, as is Resolute Mining, where we've got a decent progression, bounce above the 50-day moving average. We had an unfilled gap to the upside back at the end of March, which is also positive, and that means that we're looking for the top of a broadening triangle, a 2-year broadening triangle, as high as 35 pence by the end of this month, and hopefully much more. On to Tungsten West, where we seem to have had a bit of preliminary production there. It's actually a place that I visited the mine a couple of years back, and it's good to see the company trying to progress. Bear Trap Island reversal here in the making. Want to see an end of day close, though, back above the old April support there around 4 pence. If we can do that, then maybe the next achievement would be up to around the floor of the gap there from April, around 6 pence. So as while we're above 3, looking for up to 6 pence on Tungsten West over the next couple of months. The reason for the inclusion here basically is apart from the island reversal, is the bullish divergence. So we had lower lows for May, but a higher RSI trace. And we're still just coming out of oversold territory, so that is a plus for further momentum. On to Versarien, which did come back from the best levels of the week, initially up to as high as 3.25. We were looking for 4 pence initially on this, although obviously the first breakout was just way down at 1.3 pence. The current situation is that above the 50-day line, around 2.3 pence, call it 2.25 pence. We're looking for 4 pence, hopefully later this month. Nice bounce for the RSI above the neutral 50 level, which tends to be a continuation signal. Requested stock is next in the form of Rockfire, which has been one of the few stocks to do exactly what we wanted it to do, almost from the lows there in October, when the shares looked very oversold and there was bullish divergence. Then we were looking for 0.2 in the 50-day moving average. Then we were looking for 0.25, which was achieved this week. And after that, we were looking for 0.33, which was also achieved this week, which means we're only left now to look for up to 0.45 by the end of next month, especially while we hold above 0.3. And the reason for the relative optimism here is obviously that we had the placing at 0.22 and the shares have rallied well above that. So that does suggest that there's a bit of a shortage of stock around the place, or at least a squeeze, and that could push the shares that much higher to where they were back at basically this time last year. And obviously a lot has been done by the company since then. Moving along to Zenith Energy and the announcement today of the expansion in the US. Here we're still toying with the 50-day moving average, so we had a little nudge of it around 0.48 earlier this morning, waiting for an end-of-day close above 0.48 to give us a potential move not only towards 0.6 and April resistance, but up to as high as 0.8 over the next 1 to 2 months. Interesting that there's been a gap to the upside. Hopefully that will remain unfilled, and there is bullish divergence as well. So just trying to break that 50-day line. That's it for me today. More updates over the weekend.